Space! It's fucking great!
Yeah, space everyone.
Hi Joe.
Yeah, hi Ralph. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I've spent a lot of time in space, looking at space, thinking about spaceships. I've had a great week. What about you?
Yeah, I've done a lot of the same. Looking at spaceships, being in space, experiencing space.
Why have you done that, Joe? What's got you interested in space?
I've been playing No Man's Sky. Oh my god. I mean, if anyone listened to the last podcast, you'll know how excited I was for this. And it did not let me down in the slightest. Been playing a lot of No Man's Sky, Ralph. Have you been playing a lot of No Man's Sky in your spare time?
I have missed several nights' sleep due to being lost in that game.
Lost in No Man's Sky.
Enveloped in this beautiful procedural universe. I'm curious what your experience with it has been as a new player.
As a new player, yes, because I literally bought it like the day before the update.
Oh, we should emphasize that the big update for No Man's Sky, just for people who don't know, is an update that happened 2 years after the game's released. It added a whole bunch of new features. It has basically made this quite controversial game close to the game that they originally sold it as.
Yeah, and they made it pretty, and you can go in third person.
It's very pretty.
There's lots of things you can do. There's arguably too many things you can do.
There's very differently too much things you can do.
Base upgrades, story progression, making money, upgrading my fleet, getting new frigates, crafting cool new upgrades, buying new upgrades, learning languages, exploring new systems, finding cool planets. Oh, it's just an endless amount of tasks.
I heard somebody
stops.
describe it as it's like a term you hear quite a lot in games, is like treadmill. You know, like, I keep working on this thing and I get to the next part of it. I get the next progression system.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's leveling up in a Call of Duty game. You know, I leveled up, I got a new gun or whatever. It's like, it has that, but then it also has the, like, as you were just saying, like, if I just do this, I can build a new part to my base on my lovely home world. But if I fly over here, I can find new minerals which I can use to build this new upgrade. It's got like 50 different progression systems all working at the exact same time.
Yeah. It can get really crazy, but like I like that about it. And like, especially as a new player, going in knowing nothing, there was just so much to learn. Like it's like that stage of a game, like, you know, everyone, I don't know, I guess Minecraft's a really good example of it, where like when people first played it, they had I'm not comparing the two games, by the way, just
I think
for anyone getting
there's
triggered.
A close comparison.
There are comparisons for sure, but just in case anyone got mighty triggered by that, it's when you first played Minecraft, for most people, like, no one had any idea what you were doing, because it doesn't hold your hand in the slightest. There's no tutorial. Well, there might be now, but there wasn't back in the day, you know. And the beauty of it was just learning things the hard way, I guess, or just like figuring the things out. And I had that experience with No Man's Sky where I knew nothing about the game, and there was so much to do, and I could do it at my own pace, and it just felt really good. And it was just all the new experiences flooding in, and I feel like there will be a day where, like, oh, I miss being a noob in No Man's Sky, sort of thing, and like not knowing what this did, because you kind of get to the point where if you start a new one, like, you know all the best ways to do everything, and you know what is worth doing and what's not worth doing, and all that stuff. The kind of, in a way, the end goal of a lot of survival games, which is partly what this is, partly what No Man's Sky is essentially the path to becoming efficient. So like, I'm assuming by like our like 3 or 4, getting just kind of the basic materials and items you needed to stay alive, just kind of that tension just went away and it became nothing. Like, you were able to just get the stuff you needed after a while. Yeah. It has gotten to a point for me now where I wanted to try the survival mode, because there's a survival mode which is supposed to, it's just harder, basically. You have to, it takes more resources to make things and build things, and your life support systems and stuff go down faster in storms and everything. But yeah, I feel like because I played a lot of it on normal, I got to a point where like I knew what I could do and what I couldn't, and then it felt a bit too easy for me. And like, I like the game being easy on the easier mode, but I don't like it when they add a supposed to be like a challenging mode, and then like I feel like there's so many ways around the challenge, I guess is a good way to put it.
Sure.
Because for me, like, I don't know, I wanted to, especially with the base building, I never felt compelled to do it for my guys' safety. I never felt in danger in No Man's Sky, even when pirates or whatever attack me because they scan my cargo and come out of hyperspace or whatever it is to come and attack me. Because I just know that I do more damage than them, and I know how to shoot them better than they can shoot me, sort of thing.
The like threat of sort of pirates and bandits is just not prevalent in the game. Like I just never feel threatened by by pirates in that game. That's something I've noticed about the next update. Is that the level of threat has kind of dissipated, and I think a big part of that is that the developers of the game, Hello Games, realized that the threats they were trying to instill in the game just weren't that effective.
Okay.
It's like the pirates in particular just haven't changed that much at all. Like they aren't any deadlier. And a lot of the time when people couldn't, well actually in fact they're less deadly, because a lot of the time when they came to attack you, they were more powerful than you. But what this led to is players like myself who were in it for exploration just didn't have weapons. We just couldn't defend ourselves, so we would just stop, let them kill us, and then
go get your stuff.
Yeah, just go and get my stuff and like respawn and be like, whatever, that was annoying, and then carry on with the game. But then also like none of the wild creatures that you find on planets attack players anymore.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, which is a real shame, because sometimes they could fuck you up, man. Like especially the giant ones. But the thing is that for the most part they weren't threatening. They were just kind of annoying, and so I think they realized that just having something that was annoying wasn't good for the game. So they've just kind of removed that threat.
That's why with the pirates, at least, I don't know about the animals, they do sound kind of annoying. But like with the pirates, if they're better than you, that's why. Like, have that on the harder difficulty. And then, like, because there's the feature of when pirates are about to attack you, you can bring up your direct communicator or whatever and bribe with them, like, give them money so they don't kill you, sort of thing. But I never used that because I never felt in danger.
Yeah.
I feel like if I was feeling confident about my ship and my abilities to shoot other ships at the time, I wouldn't have to bribe them. And if I was feeling like, oh god, these guys are going to kill me, I'd actually use that feature. But in the normal and survival game mode, I never once felt like, wow, these guys are going to kill me. It was more like, oh, some free kills towards my total pirates killed stat sort of thing. And then that became tedious because it wasn't a challenge. But I think there should be an option for that.
There's like a kind of custom difficulty of like, nah, let these guys fuck me up.
Yeah.
The thing that I thought it was I felt pretty good about this. It felt like a pretty great fuck you to the guy who tried to rob me in that game. I was like, flying through space, got a communication, like, we see some shit in your spaceship, we're gonna come and fucking rob you. And I said, oh no, please don't do that. And then I immediately pulled up the menu and summoned my freighter like right in front of me. And so these guys came out of warp and I was just like, surprise, dickheads, I've got a fleet with me. And then all of my ships just like blew the fuck out of them, and I was just like, cheers fellas, and kept going on my way. That's great. That felt kind of funny.
See, that's the beautiful thing. The freighters are definitely one of the best parts of the game, like, completely. For sure. Something that I did notice in multiplayer, at least, if someone had summoned their freighter to a system, I couldn't summon mine as well, which kind of sucked. I don't know if that was just like, it happened on multiple occasions though, so I think that's actually a limit.
Yeah, it must be a limit, which is weird because the NPC ones can fire. Yeah, like I was in a system the other day where like I literally couldn't move because I ordered my freighter to warp in, which is like a nice giant ship, and I love it a lot.
Yes.
And then all of the little frigates that I've gathered. I've got 5 frigates, and I love
5.
them all.
Aw.
5, and they're great.
Yeah. Do you have MV Hammer though?
No, I do not have.
MV
I do not
Hammer
have your starship MV Hammer.
Whatever it was. Yeah. Oh, that's a shame.
MV Hammer is great.
He
But,
is, yeah.
No, like my frigates jumped in, and then like 3 other groups just all warped in, and I just looked around and like I was in a massive circle, like this fucking giant flotilla was there, and like loads of little spaceships came in, and it just suddenly went from being like this quiet, empty bit of space to just being like this massive fucking traffic jam where I like couldn't move in any direction, and like it was really confusing and quite funny. But no, I like so like the freighter stuff has been added, and that's all kind of new. But I'm kind of curious what other systems you've engaged with. Like, have you like engaged with any of the storylines that much at all? Because they've added 3 storylines since the launch of the game.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty far in. Some of my friends have gotten even further, and of course they've not like spoiled anything for me. I want to say I'm not that far in, because from what I've heard, people were saying it's like a 30-hour length story or something like that.
Yeah, like between 20 to 30 hours, I would say.
Yeah, I'm not that far in then. I don't want to say anything because obviously it's spoilers.
Yeah, that's cool. Which storyline are you doing?
Okay, spoiler alert for the boys.
There's the Atlas one, which is for like go to the Atlas stations.
Yeah,
and then...
so I don't think I've even got to the point of choosing that yet.
Okay, cool.
I think I got to.
No, you don't choose these storylines; they're concurrent.
They're concurrent. Yeah. Oh, so you just like progress them separately.
Yeah.
So how do I know? I think yeah.
There's the Atlas one, which is the big, freaky-looking, glowing orb thing, which is like essentially like the husk of like a dead AI god that used to rule the universe, which I fucking adore and love greatly. And its storyline is all about how like it's quite a meta story. All the storylines in the game are super meta, which I really love. So like the Atlas one is about a god who's lost all of his power, who wants to like maintain the universe in this perfect balance, and doesn't want you, i.e. the player or people like you, upsetting the natural order of things.
Yeah.
It's basically
anomalies.
Like the anomalies. You've got like the get to the center of the galaxy storyline, which is for like the space anomaly one with like Polo.
So that's the one I've been doing the most.
I really like those guys.
Yeah, they're weird, and they give me lots of nanite clusters.
Yeah, they give you so much shit. They're so friendly. I love those two. I love like the partnership of like, I'm a weird little frog man, and I just like fucking love researching shit and building you like cool guns. Like, who are you? I'm a space robot who gets freaked out existentially and wants to discover the truth of the universe, and somehow together we've built a weird orb that can travel through space and time. And they're super friendly, and they're just cool dudes to hang out with. I really like them.
They're very interesting characters. I like it.
They're great. I want to watch a TV series with them.
What, just those two?
Yeah, just those two and their weird little space adventures.
Comedic shorts. Like, that would be cool. Or even a comic. A comic of them would be pretty good. But yeah, so story, I've done quite a lot. One of my friends said it was almost like, I don't know which storyline he was doing, but he said it was almost like, what was that game called? It's like, I can't believe I forgot the name of it.
Mass Effect.
It's the one about the AIs, the choice related one, like the story game, AI related.
There's a lot of AI related story games.
No, like the most recent one though, like the big one.
Fuck, dude, I don't know. Tacoma?
It's over.
Soma?
No.
Point Zero?
No.
Zero Theorem?
No, it's like really like
Near Automata.
one of those games that doesn't really have gameplay. It's like just like a TV show sort of thing.
Oh, like a Walking Dead. I have no idea. Let's not get lost in this.
Okay, well, that game has a lot of options, like a lot. and it determines the outcome. And he said that he was being faced with choices that determined the outcome heavily.
Ah, yeah. So that's the
And that's really cool.
That's the Traveler storyline. That one is actually that one's super neat because again, it's super meta. And the thing about that storyline is they released that a year after the launch. And the thing I fucking love about that storyline is that it incorporated all of the positive and negative things that critics and fans and consumers said about No Man's Sky. And so it incorporated like all of the very toxic feedback that game got, and it turned it into a storyline within the actual game. It's like that storyline is all about lonely travelers going across a universe that they were lied to about as they search for other travelers to explore the universe with.
They've planned it all out.
It was. I don't think they
planned this all.
I don't think they did.
I know. I'm joking.
But like,
I'm joking.
that's a really smart thing to do, is to take all of the criticism people had of your game and then turn that into a narrative within your actual game world. Like, that's fucking clever. It's super cool. I really like that they did that, and it's like quite a sad storyline about how like everyone fucked up. it's like a weird kind of admission of guilt by the developers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that storyline is worth pursuing because it has some very odd, very cinematic stuff in it that you wouldn't expect in No Man's Sky. Like it has some quite kind of linear directed moments which are actually kind of terrifying. Yeah,
because when you think like dialogue choices and stuff that actually have effect, you wouldn't pair that with like a sandbox procedurally generated open world game.
Not at all.
That's cool. I remember the name of the game, by the way. Detroit Become Human. That's
fuck that game.
Yeah. I don't know what you meant by fuck that game, but that could mean many things.
It's a David Cage game, so like I love David Cage, but yeah, Detroit Become Human is meant to be a parable about like slavery and civil rights movements where androids who are based in Detroit kind of have to rise up and gain their civil rights, except that the game like doesn't actually get into it. It just uses that as like a weird backdrop and then like never acknowledges it. And it's like, why are you making a game about like racism when you are not actually talking about racism? It feels weird.
I don't know.
And like,
but I don't know. But people said it was good. People said it was good for like what it was. I don't know. I don't know too much about it, but I've heard good things.
It's got good face tech and it's got cool androids. Aside from that, nah.
Okay, interesting.
Anyway. David Cage is not a good writer. That's the main thing.
Okay. But rip David Cage. Moving on. No Man's Sky again. Sorry. Where were we? Oh yeah, so the photo mode in that game.
Yes.
That's something we need to talk about. I mean, obviously I've heard about it, and like other games have photo mode, but let's be real. No Man's Sky. The only thing I don't like about their photo mode is the way depth of field works. I mean, it's not terrible.
It's too harsh.
There's no focal. It doesn't work by focal point. It works by layers of rendering, I'm pretty sure. So it's like, and you can't like, so basically like, you can't ever really get it exactly how you want it. I mean, you can to some extent, but it's like, if you want a very, I mean, if anyone's used an actual camera before and they know how depth of field works, it's very easy to set your depth of field up however you want.
Yeah, as a photographer playing this game, I'm simultaneously in love with it and a bit frustrated. Because especially with the depth of field stuff, you don't choose a focal point, and it does. It kind of just like merges it in from your background and foreground. Yeah, but it doesn't blend. Like it isn't a smooth transition. It just sort of cuts off. So
it cuts off.
Yeah, like a rock in front of you will be completely blurred out and then the background will have this kind of bokeh effect. But then if you look at the dirt, it's just like this straight line where it just stops being
it does
blurred.
the layers. It does the layers of rendering. Yeah,
it doesn't look good, man. It doesn't look good. But taking photographs in that game it's just joyous when you find something that looks beautiful, because I believe this is one of the best exploration games there is, and I'm curious what you have discovered so far in your journey. Describe to the listeners the fun things you have found.
Okay, so I found a lot of gross, horrible planets. That's for sure. Because they're in their fair share, and you just go on them quickly, and you go, ooh, and then you leave. It's kind of how that works. I've also found...
What's the grossest weird thing you found?
The grossest weird thing? I don't know, like, I found this... I don't know if this was gross, it was almost funny, actually. I found this weird, like, animal, which was, like, it had the body of a dog, and then, like, the head of a T-Rex, and, like, the arms of a T-Rex, so it had, like, but then, like, it ran like a dog. And
that
it,
doesn't
like,
sound good.
It looked really strange and funny, and it had a big tail as well, but like a dinosaur tail, not a dog tail.
Okay.
So it like ran on 4 legs with wee stubby like arm things sticking out, and like a T-Rex head, and it just looked hilarious the way it ran. And then like in No Man's Sky, I find it really funny when the animals hunt other animals, because like, especially when you get weird ones. So like this was like this dog T-Rex that ran really stupidly, and then it hunted like this like other weird looking like almost like pig-like sort of thing. Like I can't even describe it, but yeah, it like hunted that, and it was pretty weird and gross. And
yeah, that's cool.
But apart from that, like I don't know, the planets themselves, they're just toxic. They're just a bit toxic, you know. Like the gross planets I see anyway, they're just usually pretty toxic. Just green, murky. Bit of orange.
Yeah, a bit poisoned.
Yeah, a bit like weird mushroom trees that look like if you touch them, you'd sort of like, you know that feeling you get when you see like a spider or anything that moves in that sort of way. You get kind of like an itch almost. Like I don't know. I feel like if I touched that toxic thing, I'd get a really bad case of wanting to itch, or just sending shivers down my spine or something like that.
Okay, good. No, that sounds good.
But yeah, on gross, I guess I've not seen like anything. I've not ever looked at something and gone, ugh, like physically like gagged or like anything like that. I don't know about you, but
there's been like a few weird planets that kind of made me go, oh god, there's something weird here. So
yeah.
Oh man, let's think of an example. So it's like an example of like a super weird place that I found the other day was a planet which I think it was labeled as being a airless planet.
Oh yeah.
It's like with no biome or anything. And so I flew down to it kind of expecting it to be quite empty. Because, hey, guess what? There's no air.
Yeah.
But it was like teeming with life. And there were loads of different alien species living there. They all had like trading posts and set up small villages and stuff. But like I went down and landed on it, and the way I think I can describe it is it looked like the bottom of the ocean, but like all the water had disappeared. So
Okay.
like, the only thing I could think of is like it was like being on the bottom of the ocean with all of the kind of seaweed and plant life that you'd expect to find at the bottom of the ocean, but because like gravity was so low on this planet, all the water just like fucked off, I guess.
Okay.
But then all the plants are like still upright and flowing as if they are in the water. And so it's just this like really weird, unnerving moment. And then something must have been kind of weird in the atmosphere, I guess, with there being no air. Oh, it wouldn't have atmosphere if it had no air. Oh, well, because it had no atmosphere, color was really weird in it, and like everything was really desaturated.
Yeah.
Except for like oranges and reds. It's like every now and again you just see like this flash of color going through it. It was really unnerving. Have you found... This is a question I have to ask, because in the game you basically get kind of different levels of planets and biomes. It's like level 1, which is like starting systems.
Yeah.
You have, like a frosty planet, which is like Hoth, or kind of a tundra of some sort. And you get like little water worlds and little, as we were saying, toxic worlds and desert planets and stuff like that. But then as you start upgrading your hyperdrive, you can go to different types of stars. I'm wondering if you've done that.
I think so.
Okay.
I don't. What kind of different stars are we talking here?
Oh, so it's like you know how you get like the yellow stars, and then there are like blue systems and green systems and red systems.
I didn't. To be honest, I didn't pay too much attention to that. I kind of just jumped about. So I think
that's totally cool.
I think I've hit some of these places because I've seen an airless planet before. I just never went.
So you get like small chances of weird planets on the lower level, but then as you get into like the red systems, green systems, blue systems, it basically opens up either completely different types of planets or kind of a higher chance of finding weirder shit, and the types of resources you can get there all change. They're essentially like progressing. It's almost like this is chapter 2 of your weird exploration. You can now go to red systems. And as you increase your warp drive and as you gain access to those different types of places, the weirder shit starts to kick in. And some of it is fucking out there. Like, really out there and terrifying and just bizarre. Like, the ones that people point to as being quite unnerving, but also quite beautiful, is planets which have been completely changed into, like, a metallic organism.
Okay.
So you will see these giant planets, and you look at it, and instead of seeing like continents and oceans, you see a metallic hex grid. And as you fly down, in those giant hexes are smaller hexes, and you keep going down until you realize that the planet is made up of just billions upon billions of metallic hexes on the ground that have replaced dirt and rock, and all of the plant life has been changed into metal plants that have these like glowing orange tentacles coming out of them, and it's really bizarre. So,
does any of this get explained in the story? Is this like to do with the Atlas, like
maybe
being an AI or something like that?
I think there's some stuff to do with it. I haven't gotten that far in the story yet.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
I think those are like the ultimate planets that the kind of robotic sentinels you meet are trying to build. This is just a theory. I'm not sure. Yeah. Because I've also found corrupted planets. Okay. Or planets that just have in brackets redacted, so you don't even know what kind of, you know, some shit went down on a redacted planet. So I can tell you what it is. And like you get down there, and before you even like land your spaceship, you just go, this is a bad neighborhood. I should turn around.
I should get out of here.
I should get out of here.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that I actually have a problem with this update. Okay. Is so they did a lot of work to make the planets more natural, I think.
Yeah, they did do that.
Yeah, more realistic.
The scale of them and stuff, like the mountains, like the variation in height and stuff like that, I think.
Yes. So like a mountain range will very naturally flow down into like a valley with like a river going through it. And
there's no rivers in this game.
No, there are.
There are? I've never seen a river.
I've seen screenshots. I think I found a couple as well.
That's weird, because I've never seen a river, which is strange.
They're rare. That's the thing I like about this game, is I can say something and you go, no shit, I had no idea that was in here.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
But yes, like everything looks a bit more natural, whereas in the old updates, that stuff hadn't quite been sorted out yet. So a lot of the time when you landed on like a toxic planet or a frost planet or whatever, things felt truly alien. It wasn't a rare thing to find a truly alien planet like those corrupted planets I was just talking about.
Maybe that's a good thing though, because maybe it makes it more special when you do find them.
It's almost the reverse of what it is now. So it used to feel really special to find a planet that you could look at and go, oh, I recognize this. It's a planet. Like, that's a hill that goes down to a valley with a river. Whereas now, those are kind of the norm.
Yeah, I quite like that, though. I mean, it means, like, exploration, it's worth finding something that's, like, crazy. Because then, like, the people that put the effort into exploring can be like, well, I saw this. And then people like me who focused on their own system and stuff and didn't go too much will be like, oh. Like, I want to see that cool stuff.
Yeah, no, it's basically, like, all of that sense of exploration and everything is still there. It's almost just like it's been flipped. In a way. Yeah. So like finding those peaceful planets was the special thing before, whereas now finding the crazy shit is like the special thing. But like the crazy shit before the update was like extra fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Because they hadn't managed to quite get it to the point where landscapes seemed natural. So like you would find stuff that was just so extreme that it just felt broken, but broken in a way that was really cool. So like there are planets that I remember finding which almost looked like they had giant earthquakes, and you just had like sheer cliffs of rock and huge canyons that dropped like just in a straight line but weren't wide for like miles. And it just felt really extreme and exaggerated in a way that made it feel a bit more alien. Whereas now there's lots of planets I can look at, and aside from, you know, the big mushroom plants, I could go, oh, that looks like a place on Earth I could go and find. But no. What overall would you say, are there any like negative feelings you have towards it?
Towards the game as a whole? Well, the difficulty thing, like I said, like if you're gonna add a harder difficulty, like actually make it harder, I guess. Like it is harder, but like barely. Like you play the game the same way is kind of what I'm getting at. You don't really change the way you play the game just because you're on that difficulty. Like you still progress the same way, in my opinion, and you still hit that stage of I don't have to worry about anything anymore because I'm efficient enough that it's like it's you're not even thinking about it anymore. The other thing is, I don't know, I guess like there's like a lot to do. Yes. The bugs. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, bugs. There are definitely bugs.
I was about to get into the bugs after.
There are 100% bugs, and the multiplayer ones can be very annoying. Especially at the start, because basically me and a couple of friends had to restart our save multiple times because certain missions would bug out. So that, like the base ones, for example, because at the start now you get given like tutorial missions basically, which is a good thing, and like it helps you progress through and like learn the basics and all that stuff as a new player, and even the returning players, because of all the different new systems and different names for things, it was helpful.
I as a returning player who continued my save just had like no idea what the fuck was going on, which did give me a sense of discovery, but also has left me very frustrated with the game.
Yeah, I can imagine. But the tutorial stuff's good, but yeah, the missions overlap, like especially when it came to base building. Like your mission would just glitch out and you wouldn't be able to complete it no matter what. And there's literally no way around it. And if you didn't complete that mission, you couldn't advance in the story and access a lot of the game, like teleporters and stuff, because they don't unlock until you do a certain amount, which is a bit crazy. So that sucked. And also the markers in multiplayer, like it doesn't update properly all the time. It'll tell you someone is in one place and they're just not. And sometimes you get duplicate markers, so it says there's two of one person, and then it's all just a bit messy. But it's like, I don't know, like it's been a while since I like looked past bugs in a game, because normally bugs really annoy me and like I actually care. But in No Man's Sky I cared, but it was not enough to put me off the game, that's for sure. Like a bug didn't happen. Like I happily restarted a save. I mean, I went that far. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'll just make a new character, and it was fine. That doesn't happen very often for me, at least.
No, it's really interesting because I'm kind of on the opposite of that, where the bugs, the bugs I'm seeing as a continuing player have got me really conflicted.
Yeah, I'm sure it's worse on a continuing save.
It's horrible on a continuing save because I and everyone else who has previously completed all of the base building storyline, which is actually like really interesting, and you should get into it. There's some good character work in that storyline. Yeah, with all the people who can come and work on your
at your
base.
Place.
Yeah, man, some of those dudes are fucking cool. But the bug I've run into is that because the game has brought over the characters who I had in my previous base, my farmer, my architect, all that stuff, the game won't let me replace them with characters from the new version of the game, and only the characters from the new version of the game
have certain
have
recipes and stuff.
Have all of the tech and all of the quests that unlock all of the new stuff in this update.
Could you build a new base entirely?
Nope, tried it. not worked.
Doesn't work.
It's the characters from the old game, from the old version of the game, are so out of place that they don't fit in
Oh
my
god,
base. They like fall through the floor and go through the walls because they're too big.
Yeah,
they're completely different characters. But like in terms of base building, I don't mind that as much because like I can still make a pretty cool base. It's the fact that technologies and items that you need to play the game in the way it's meant to be played
are locked off.
Completely locked off. It's like I have no access to refineries, which are the way you are meant to gather minerals now. Like the game is designed so that you collect a certain type of mineral and then refine it into another one.
Refine it, yeah.
I just don't
Which
have
I
access
really
to
like.
that.
Which is sad
Yeah,
that you can't.
it sounds fucking great, and I can't do it.
Yeah, it's much better. So the brief time I played before the update, base building was a lot easier, and it didn't make as much sense. I don't know.
No.
It was like use iron for everything, and it's like you get iron from this rock, this random tiny rock. It's like okay. And I just sort of accepted it. But now, like, with all the different minerals and, like, the way you refine them and stuff, it just makes sense. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And building a base doesn't take me, like, 2 seconds, which is cool.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of annoying. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot, but it's not. And
it's a lot, but the thing I will say is that, like, it does take a while to do it, but it does feel very rewarding.
It does.
When you're, like, 10 hours in, you do get a sense of, I've built a home.
Yeah,
it's taken me a while.
Just walking through the door, doing its opening, then walking in, seeing your bud, like your Gek bud, just chilling at his wee thing, and he does the wave. Oh, the waves! When all the characters acknowledge you walking past, it's just great. You walk into like a room in a space station, and they all just sort of turn around and just like lift their arm up, like they're going, hello. Yeah, hey. It's just so funny. Like I don't know, it's great. And like the Gek I got from my base, I'd already been like doing quests for him and like just chatting to him, and I didn't know that he was a recruitable one because obviously they're not all recruitable. Like you go to the space station and get whoever is available, and this guy, like, I'd just given him some Gek nip every time I went. Like I talked to him in this one room in the space station I always went to, and then when I went to get my Gek, I went over to him and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna come work for you." I was like, "Oh yes, like this is my boy." Man. Like I've chatted to him loads, and now he's coming to my base, and I'll see him all the time. Oh, it was great. It was a good moment. Cool.
You've built up a proper friendship.
Yeah, which I don't think like normally happens because like with my other guys, I just sort of walked into like a Viking or a Corvex space station, which is like, "Yep, you'll do." Like, come back with me. But with that guy, I'd like actually chatted to him and built up a cheeky relationship and stuff.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
no, but that's super cool.
Yeah, the base building's super cool, like you said. I don't know, and like choosing a planet's hard though. It's
very hard. You will find lots of planets. Like I have quite often settled down on a planet, said, yes, this is my home in this beautiful valley next to a lake, and then I hop a few systems away and I go, no, this is my beautiful home in a valley next to a lake.
Betrayal.
But like that's the thing I do like is that you can just build like a cargo bay. And then just transfer items like it means nothing, and rebuild everything or set stuff up in a different spot, and like that feels pretty good. I'm currently searching for a new home base because I've decided I don't like my system. Because the thing I didn't realize, I found a lovely planet with these giant weird rocks on it, which form giant like sonic rings. Is the only way I can describe it. That I can fly my spaceship through, so I like have fun flying through them like it's a little obstacle course. But the thing I slowly realized is that every other planet in my system is completely dead. And the space station has been overridden by a horrible and bubonic kind of alien disease. And there's like monsters roaming everywhere on every other planet. And I'm like, maybe this is a bit fucked. I should leave this neighborhood.
You were like, I don't like where this is going.
Yeah, I don't like this. Because I looked around and I'm literally the only person here. Like, I've not found a single other living...
Other life form, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe I should just go.
It sounds like a bit like you're a lonely traveler, Ralph.
It sounds like I'm going to get fucked up.
It does also sound like that, yeah.
But no, so I think, little final thoughts. What do you think of the No Man's Sky space?
It's just an experience. Like, I don't know, like it's not like any other game I've played.
There's a lot of neat stuff in this game that I think some other games do it, but the fact that everything in No Man's Sky is completely like random and yet also predictable, because you will, even though everything in that game is completely random, completely procedurally generated, you will find whatever it is you're looking for. It has like that weird magic of constantly changing yet remaining the same.
It just looks amazing. Yeah, it really does. And then you can look at all your photos and be like, oh, I remember that. Like, get excited about it. Oh, it's definitely something I think everyone should at least try.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, colourful, pulpy sci-fi world to explore.
Yeah.
Well, sci-fi universe to explore. On the other hand of space, though, there is a very cold, dark, unforgiving universe that I've been exploring. I have been watching a TV show called The Expanse.
The Expanse. Where have you been watching this TV show, Ralph?
I have been watching it on Netflix. And a little bit on Amazon, because the first 2 seasons are on Netflix and Amazon have gobbled it up. The 3rd season is on Amazon, and the 4th one will be coming next year. The 3rd series finished. It finished in the very end of June. And it was unfortunately cancelled by the Sci-Fi Network.
The Sci-Fi Network.
The Sci-Fi Network.
What a name.
I wonder what they put on. But it was cancelled, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, much in the same way that like happened with Firefly, is all of a sudden this huge fan base that the networks just didn't realize existed rose up and said, "How dare you? We want more." So then Amazon picked up and are continuing it, which is very good, because I really believe that The Expanse is a really, really engaging alternative to Game of Thrones.
Okay.
So
people that don't like the old fantasy, well, not even fantasy, like medieval even.
Like if you're not into fantasy stuff, or if you just really love that kind of high octane political drama, then this is a perfect show for you. Before I truly get into it, I'm going to give you like a little bit of background for it.
Yeah.
So The Expanse is essentially the complete opposite of No Man's Sky. It is a TV show which is based on a series of novels, which by all accounts are very good. That takes place a few hundred years in the future, and humanity is in a state where we can explore. We've managed to get interplanetary travel down. We can go between Mars and Venus and Pluto and all the moons of Jupiter and all this kind of stuff, and we can colonize them. But everything we were promised after that hasn't happened. We haven't yet reached other stars. We've stalled in our progression. And what this means is that we enter our solar system at a time when people feel dejected and like they have yet to receive that promise of space exploration that we are told in all of our sci-fi stories. Like these are the people who've been told what can happen in No Man's Sky, and then they get there and find out that there's fuck all for you to do, and you just have to live in a shitty asteroid where you might get killed in any minute because space is bad.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds realistic. It does sound realistic.
Very realistic. That sounds silly, saying it's very realistic when it's a show about space and people flying spaceships. But
hey, give it a couple hundred years.
Give it a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
But the thing that this show does really well, actually, and kind of gives it a weird sense of authenticity with that realism, is that it's just a neat little thing that I really love, is that physics still applies. So, like, because we haven't gotten to that full-on sci-fi nonsense, things like warp drives and hyperdrives don't exist. So
that's why we're still in the system.
Why we're still in the systems, when a spaceship has to, like, go between a planet and an asteroid, its velocity and its mass count. They have to come into the equation. So the spaceship in the show will have to actually like point the opposite direction and then fire its engines to kind of reduce its speed as it hurtles through space. And it's just a nice little touch that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
But the thing that this show does that I think makes it a really fantastic piece of television is that it constantly creates a really interesting sense of place. And it does this partly through some fantastic production design, but it mainly does it through some fantastic writing. So in like episode 3 of the first season, there's a scene which made me kind of stop and go, "Oh wow, I think I really like this show."
It was the moment that kicked in.
Oh yeah, it was the moment where I kind of went, "Fuck, that's really good."
Yeah.
And it is a scene which follows one of the main characters in the show, a cop, a hard-hitting, no-nonsense detective named Joe Miller, who is easily one of the best characters on the show. He basically lives in like a 50s noir detective film.
Okay.
Well, everyone else lives in the future, and like he literally walks around with a patrol being is like, "Nah, I don't trust this part of town," and he's like real, like gravelly and nihilistic,
stuck in his ways.
Oh yeah, no, people are literally like, "Man, you're stuck in your ways."
Yeah.
but yeah, he's standing in a morgue over the dead body of a suspect, and the mortician walks in, and the mortician says like, "Oh hey, this guy has no religious affiliation on record. Can I take his body to recycling? There's a farm on level 34 that's running low on compost." And I just sat there for a moment and went, fuck, that's a good line of dialogue, because it just immediately tells you so much about the world and the society that they live in. Like,
what, where they just use dead bodies for recycling?
Yeah, like at some point in this like asteroid, in this city that's built inside an asteroid, the people running it had to have a discussion about religion, because it says no religious affiliation on record. So immediately you know, so religion and like spiritualism is still respected in this sci-fi world. Yeah. But then the recycling tells you that they're all quite pragmatic with resources. Like they know they can't grow stuff properly because they live in the middle of space, so they have to use dead bodies to then grow their food. And then you're like, holy shit, that must have taken a really long time to come to that decision and for this society to feel like it's okay. Yeah. So like this show constantly has these and like that line of dialogue is completely throwaway. Like it's completely throwaway.
Yeah,
it has
just,
no
it
bearing on the plot.
Nowhere.
It's flavor text. And the show is filled with that kind of stuff, which is super important because the format of the show is very Games of Thrones-y, where it has like 4 different storylines going on at once that are separate. And that kind of world building is what keeps you engaged during like the first half of the first season. It's like 4 or 5 episodes. Those individual storylines aren't as catchy or as punchy as they are in Game of Thrones. Okay. So you need that world building in order to keep you engaged. Okay. Because A, the characters aren't properly fleshed out. B, the individual storylines aren't that interesting by themselves. In the grand scheme of the show, there are like 3 different story plots. There's Earth, there's the asteroid belt, and then there is like Mars. Those are kind of the 3 main factions in the show. Yeah. You see Earth from the point of view of like a very, very, very high level ambassador, and all of the stuff with her name is what is it? Man, I cannot remember how to pronounce this. Avril Jala. Yeah, sure. yeah, sure. She's amazing, by the way. The actress who plays her is called Shori Agadasho. And she's an Indian actress, and holy shit, dude, she is like my new favorite actress. Really? Takes the cake. Completely. She's like in her like late 60s. She has like this super deep, really gravelly voice. And man, the costumes she wears are fucking dope as hell, man. Like every time you see her in the show, you're like, man, she's dressed to the nines. Yeah. Like, this is it made me laugh when it happened, but her costumes are so good that there will be episodes of a show where she changes costume like 5 times, even though she just doesn't have to. Like there are parts where she's like, I'm going to get in a car and drive here, and then she changes costume.
Changes costume just to drive her car. Yeah.
And like all of them look fucking great, man.
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
like it's like that, that really regal kind of royal kind of, like Indian robes and garbs and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But like tweaked ever so slightly to be a bit sci-fi.
Yeah, sci-fi.
It's like this super neat little touch, and all of the stuff with her and Earth feels very Mass Effect-y. Mm-hmm. Like it all feels like the Citadel from Mass Effect. It's like, hyper technology,
ambassadors, politics.
Oh yeah, ambassadors, politics, and like all of that stuff is very like, it's full of like espionage and backstabs and little deals getting done, and kind of people being a bit nasty. Her stuff is kind of cool, but it feels super separate from everything else for quite a large chunk of the show. The asteroid belt stuff is seen from point of view of the cop, and basically he lives in like a cyberpunk dystopia.
Yeah, the slums.
The slums.
I mean, it's an asteroid belt, for God's sake. Like, it's not even a planet.
Oh yeah,
you don't want to be living in an asteroid.
Again, a little Mass Effect-y. It reminds me a lot of Omega.
Yeah.
Like there is even a club. Yeah. There's even a club in the asteroid that everyone goes and hangs out at.
Yeah, no, it's Omega, everyone.
It's very Omega. Yeah. And then for the Mars ones, you have like traders and military people who are made up of this like little crew of 4 called Jim Holden, Alex Camel, Naomi Nagata, and Amos Burton, who are basically your like Han Solo-ish Firefly group who kind of dart between everything.
Yeah.
The thing I will say is, like, yes, the first 4 episodes of the show are kind of naff, because none of those storylines truly spark by themselves.
Yeah.
But as that show goes on, by like episode 5 or 6, when they all start to collide and mix in with each other, and the true main plot of the show kicks in, which is all very kind of conspiracy theory laden. It's all about kind of building up to a war. It all feels very kind of Cold War-esque.
Okay.
When all that stuff starts to kick in, it just doesn't let go. It just doesn't let go. And the moment that happened, I binged watched like the entire 3 seasons within like a week. It just hooked me and didn't let me go.
It keeps you hooked.
But yeah, the character work in it as the series progresses is pretty amazing. Like I gave a shout out to the Earth ambassador, who's particularly amazing, but I have to give a massive shout out to Amos, who is basically the heavy of the Starship crew.
The crew, yeah.
Yeah, to keep with the Mass Effect analogs, he would be a Krogan.
A Krogan, yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
Roger that.
He is like the big hyper violent dude who is just like, hey man, if you like say something wrong to my friend, I will just fucking kill you.
Yeah.
But the thing I really love about him is that he has a heart of he doesn't have a heart of gold. He just sees everything in the simplest terms.
Yeah.
Of like, you are a good guy who said something nice. I'm going to make sure that I keep you alive. And then like, you're an asshole. I have no problem shooting you in the face in front of everyone here.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Like, yeah, he is the like big, heavy, I will fuck you up. But but like as the show goes on, you slowly just start to piece together thousands of little nuances with him. You just don't expect it all. And like all of those individual characters start to really gel and become amazing when they clash or when they meet each other in the grander scheme of things. The thing I've noticed when I'm talking about this is that I haven't really gone into the plot, which is honestly because this is a very easy show to get into some like spoilerific elements. It is, like I said, a conspiracy kind of story. It is a thriller first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a detective involved as well, it's like...
Oh, yeah. There's a detective looking for a missing girl on this asteroid belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a Starship crew trying to find out who this elite Black Ops unit were who destroyed a spaceship. And then the ambassador trying to figure out what the Martians are really up to. Yeah, it's all very...
Yeah.
In the shadows, kind of espionage type stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to avoid the plot.
The plot.
The thing I will say is that as it starts to kick in and unravel, it gets into some shit. Like,
Okay.
it gets into some pretty wild shit.
Is it are they trying to put a message across related to real life events, or is it like just gritty?
No. So the
Okay.
thing I will say is that, like, there are... all of that stuff kind of ties into the world building.
Yeah.
So while it doesn't necessarily comment on everything, it draws on real world experiences in a super interesting way. So a main part of the world building, which I think is really fascinating and tells you so much about the people and the culture, is the accent that people who live in the asteroid belt have.
Yeah.
So in the asteroid belt, a lot of the characters there feel like they are kind of under the boot of Earth and Mars, who in this case, I mentioned Cold War earlier, and it does kind of feel like that.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like Earth is this, you know, supposedly quite like liberal, quite a commercial entity, whereas the Martians are a bit more of a military-driven faction,
Yeah.
which on the surface, very generic, but as the show goes on, the reasoning behind them becoming that way creates like a very, very palpable and fascinating sense of history.
Okay.
Like the show lets you understand how people get there. So they aren't just the generic, we are the military bad guys. They have a reason for doing it.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
The asteroid belt people, as I was saying, are almost like the third world countries who were caught up in the Cold War.
Yeah.
They're like the Central African nations who Russia and America fought over. They're like the Eastern European nations who were basically just like workforces for the major powers. They know this, they feel this, and they want to break free from that. And the accents they have are like the perfect antithesis of this.
Okay.
So the accent of everyone in the belt is this really, really weird mix of like South African and Jamaican.
Okay.
Which, like, it sounds odd, and when you hear people say it, it's really weird to begin with.
Yeah, I
it's
can
just-
imagine. Yeah.
It's just not an accent
not a
that
blend.
exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a super weird, super weird blend. And the leader of this group is a dude named Anderson Dawes, who is played by Jared Harris from Mad Men, which makes me really happy whenever he turns up, because I love Mad Men.
Yeah.
But what you kind of realize as he gives his speeches as this, what Earth calls a terrorist leader, what they call a resistance leader, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He explains that, like, they've always been under the boot. They said we would be accepted into their society, but we're not. And as he starts to talk about that kind of stuff, you realize that this accent actually, in that combination, sounds a lot like an accent you'd find in London.
Okay.
Because they use
Interesting.
these like little
Yeah.
bits of slang that you would expect to hear out of like a borough in London. And then you kind of go, oh shit. They have taken accents from territories which used to be under the control of like colonial European powers and then applied them to the city of London, which is what happened when like people from Jamaica were told, you can come and live in England now. You're good boys in our empire. So when they get there thinking we're going to be accepted into this society, they find that they are still like segregated. They find that they are still oppressed by this system. And so they come up with like this new language that's separate from the English spoken in the rest of London. And like the moment that clicked, I was like, holy shit, they put out so much thought into how the people here should speak.
Yeah.
They've made an entire accent and then an entire system of slang for these people in this asteroid belt to make you know that they are like oppressed people who were supposed to be welcomed in but just weren't. My bell just rang. I'm not going to answer the door.
Okay. Yeah, no, it
I'm
sounds like
podcasting.
you're podcasting. More important
I'm
things.
podcasting.
It sounds
More
like they put
important
so
things.
much effort into the world building. I'm sure they've gone over the books like loads, and like you said,
Oh, yeah.
they even looked at like physics and stuff, which is mad. So, I mean, it's like the sci-fi dream for
It's
someone.
all properly connected. The other thing I'll say about the show is that, just as one little final bit, is it is very pretty.
Oh, it's good. It's good looking. The CGI.
It's very good looking. You can kind of tell that they don't quite have the budget.
Yeah, I'm sure it gets better throughout the seasons. No.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's a point in season 2 where I was just like, somebody fucking gave these people some money. It's a shot of like a spaceship. Man, it's so weird to describe it. It's like one of those moments that just makes my jaw drop. It's like a spaceship hovering above a gassy planet, and then something happens that makes it just break into like a million pieces.
Oh, okay.
And it happens in such like an instance that you just kind of stop and it takes your breath. It's almost like something out of Watchmen, with Dr. Manhattan like ripping something up with by individual molecules. It's like this breathtaking moment. And like, I'm hoping that when Amazon take it over, they can apply some of that, that Amazon money.
Big Amazon budget. Yeah.
Big Amazon budget.
No, that'd be cool.
And yeah, it really is this fantastic alternative to Game of Thrones, even down to the way it treats technology. So like, so like in Game of Thrones, like magic is this like crazy thing that just a lot of people don't see, and it's always kind of in the background of the show. And as the show goes on, the magic becomes more and more an integral part of that show.
Yeah.
With The Expanse, replace magic with like an advancement in technology. And so like the big crazy thing that gets developed isn't like Daenerys with her dragons. It's like someone built a faster spaceship. And then like by like season 2, like those faster spaceships are everywhere, and like that changes the rules of the game.
Yeah.
Because suddenly people can get places quicker. And like that's a really generic example.
No, like, I get what you're saying. It opens it up.
This is going to sound a bit silly, but it kind of reminds me a lot of like the actual space race we had in the 60s with America versus it's like the equivalent. There are moments in that show which are just a more advanced version of somebody going, my God, they put a man on the moon.
They put a man on the moon. What
do we do now? What do we need to do now? Send another dog up. It's like that, but just transferred several hundred years in the future.
That's cool. I like that.
Now is a great time to watch it, mainly because by the time adverts for season 4 come out, you're going to be spoiled. Like, you're going to have the show spoiled for you, because the second half of season 3 gets into some fucking wild shit.
So you want to get it in on it now?
Want to get in it now before you see an advert for season 3 and you go, that looks like a really strange, interesting sci-fi show. You want to get in on the ground level when it's like, that's a really dirty, gritty, kind of horrible sci-fi show.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
that's cool. That's cool.
Get in there before season 4 trailers come out, because things have changed.
Yeah, they have. Things are
fucking dope.
That's the beauty of sci-fi.
Things are dope. Things are dope to the point where I want you to go and watch the entire thing right now, so I can fucking talk to somebody about this, because I do not know anybody else who has watched it, and I need somebody to.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've been feeling TV show recently, and I've been feeling a lot of space with No Man's Sky. So.
Oh, this is the one for you.
Space. That's a whole lot of space, Ralph.
It's a lot of space.
We've talked. I mean, there is a whole lot of space, because that's the point of space. There's a lot of it.
Yeah, weirdly enough, universe kind of big.
Yeah, lots of space. I mean, it's like in No Man's Sky when you're like traveling somewhere. It gives you a real life time that it's going to take you to get there.
Oh, that's the other thing about the physics in The Expanse that I really love. Yeah. When somebody has to travel from planet, there's a great line where, who is it? It's like a Martian warship or something, and they're like patrolling a moon, and they get like a little ding on their radar.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh shit, it's an Earth ship. It's a UN ship coming straight towards us. And the commander's like, how long do we have? And the radar operator's like, they'll be here in 2 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that show is good. There's a fucking bit where you see the ground forces that the Martians have, and it just becomes like the most Halo, like Spartan assault shit you've ever seen, and it's fucking rad.
All right, it does.
They have mech suits. There are people who have like cybernetic implants. Oh man,
Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, that show is fucking good. There's even like a bit of a Western type stuff. I actually started watching The Expanse because I wanted to watch a cyberpunk show And somebody said, if you liked the Cyberpunk trailer, go watch The Expanse.
Oh,
and man,
that guy had your back.
That dude, that random Reddit user, fuck Reddit, had my back.
Had your back. Yeah. That's
Man,
cool.
there's another bit in The Expanse where like David Stratham turns up in it. He's really great.
You heard it here, guys. Go watch The Expanse. I mean, Ralph can't be doing it any more of a big up. So
I know. Chad L. Coleman comes in it, who
you
plays one of the best characters from The Wire. Like, oh man.
If you hate it and think it's bad, you can now blame Ralph. But if it's
Please don't hate
amazing,
me
you can now...
Yeah, just power through. I know it sounds shitty saying this, but power through those first 4 episodes.
I think that's quite common with TV, though. Like
it is, but it's a shit thing to tell people.
Yeah.
The thing I will say is that like there are like 47 other episodes after that.
Yeah.
And they're real punchy. They're only like 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Dude, there's a spaceship battle in it that is one of the best fucking spaceship battles I've ever seen. It's the fucking dopest shit. There's a chase scene. There's a chase scene on the moon in an abandoned
Can't
refinery.
stop talking about The Expanse.
And they make physics apply. So they have like a superhero level chase scene where people are like leaping like 100 meters and like bouncing through this factory as if like it's nothing, and it feels like you're watching a fucking great chase scene from like a Spider-Man movie. It's a fucking TV show on a network that has no budget, and it can fucking do it. Oh, it's so good. I'll shut up now. It's like fucking serious. Oh.
Yeah.
I might rewatch The Expanse. Like, honestly. It's really fun. It's fucking